Hi guys, as promised, I'm going live today to tell you about how you can get original ideas for your photography uh, from not from photos, not from other photos, not from Instagram, not from Pinterest photos, but from other sources. So where else can you search for original ideas? That's gonna be the topic of today's live, and I'm so very happy to see you guys joining. Before I begin, I really want to tell you just a little bit of my updates, and also let me know how you are doing. Uh, just share some weather reports because it's also fun sometimes. Are you staying at home, or are you taking walks, or maybe uh, you're doing something else? Maybe you're still working because it's different in different countries now. So it's very sunny today here in Helsinki. Hey, hi from Mexico. It's nice to have guys from Mexico here. How is it there? Um, so, many of you ask what I'm working on right now during this weird lockdown period, and actually, I will share with you that I'm taking a break from shooting, actually. So I'm now currently focusing completely on recreating the content and rethinking the content and the like the core ideas for my signature course, which is the art of visual storytelling. And I cannot share with you. I cannot help. Well, I cannot wait to share that with you guys. But right now, I just want to say that I'm reading. I'm into reading. I'm into research. I'm into create and written content, and that's also an awesome part of my life. And maybe, guys, if you are also into photography, but maybe you feel a little bit stuck at some point, you can try to change mediums. It's also a very helpful thing. So you can just try to do something else that's creative, because creativity is what's really, really important at this time of our lives. At this weird time when we don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow, when we don't understand what is happening today in the world, we have to be creative. We have to, like, this is the most, this is the best time to be creative. And to be creative not only within your art, not only within your specific area, be it photography, be it illustration, be it, I don't know, something else, painting. But you have to be creative in all aspects of life. And this whole situation, as I actually spoke about it yesterday, and let me have some tea here. So this whole situation, it will affect everyone. And it already does. People are losing jobs, and there's gonna be some economical consequences definitely for all of us, especially for us creatives, because many of us feel well, you probably should agree that many of us do feel insecure a little bit, especially if we depend on our creativity as our source of income. If we are freelancers or entrepreneurs, this is the time to understand that our competition will not double and it will not triple. It will grow 100 times. And this is the time when we have to be as creative as possible, and even more than that, to be different, to stand out, to find the ways of creation, the ways of offering our work, the ways of digging deep into our minds and souls to bring up those meaningful stories that we just didn't know before. So, I just want to stress out, guys, yes, it's just not the time when you want to drown in the sea of sameness. You just cannot look basically at other people's photos and try to imitate them. It won't work. Now is the time to be different and be creative and to stand out. Therefore, I will be giving like a glimpse of just some hints for you that you might find also very practical, where you can source your ideas from, your inspiration from, which is not photography. And I was thinking of sharing 5 sources with you, which I use personally, but I actually came up with whole 7 of them. And there are more. My list is by no means complete, so if you guys, after listening to me, or maybe right now, if you guys can share where else you get inspiration, which is like not photography, go ahead and type it in right now here in the comments, and here on Facebook as well, because I'm doing that on 2 platforms simultaneously. So 7 sources of inspiration. First of all, I'm very visual person, so I do recommend you looking at other types of visual art. And first of all, I would go to fine art. First of all, since childhood, I was fascinated by fine arts, and at home we had lots and lots of fine art books, which I could just look through, like turn their pages and look through all the works of great masters. It was just kind of a hobby of my mom to collect those books. And it was very fortunate for me because I was born and raised in a relatively small town in Middle Russia. We had just one art museum for local painters, and that was just the one point for me to actually sort of touch fine art. That's why I do recommend you guys to always, right now, not to go to museums and exhibitions because most of them are closed. However, you can search for art online, you can read about painters, you can look at more works of different periods, and my personal favorites are the Dutch art of Golden Age. Also, I love Impressionists, I love Post-Impressionists, and contemporary art as well. What to actually look at when you look at paintings and other fine artworks. Try to, just take notes because this is gonna get really practical. Study the poses. How painters or artists, how they pose their models. Especially note the position of hands, because when you work with your models, that's one of the hardest thing to direct your model, how to actually pose. So those things, they will be very, very beneficial. Then understand how light and shadow work. You can try to compare like works that picture some dim light, ambient light, and the works, the pieces, art pieces that capture some really sunny days, bright days, and try to understand which colors involved as well while picturing those combinations of lights and shadows. So keep attention to that. Next, speaking of colors, and hey Mark, it's great to see you. And so when you look at paintings, try to notice color combinations. Really understand how and notice what kind of moods those color combinations create. Is it the combination that creates some kind of a romantic and peaceful mood, or is it has the artist used some colors that try to shock you, that try to get your attention, that try to put you in an active state of mind? And then try to understand how you can use those colors and those color combination to maybe introduce the very same effect into your works, and how those works will affect your viewers. And especially when talking about contemporary art, nowadays artists don't have any boundaries in their heads, and they create all sorts of like art objects and installations, and those are so much fun to look at, especially if you're a photographer. And what to notice there, you should pay attention to the use of materials. What kind of materials can be used? Because right now people use like basically anything to produce anything. And you can also understand how you can use those materials as your props, how they will reflect light, for example, how they will work with your idea, what kind of mood can those materials bring into your work. Again, what kind of emotions can they be connected to? That's really, really important. Also, how those materials interact with each other. And by materials, I mean it can be like aluminum foil or wool or paper or anything. Really, people today get so creative. You sometimes, when you go to an art exhibition, or simply right now, everyone has access to simply googling everything. Go to Pinterest, search for art installation, and you'll get so many ideas. It's gonna get crazy, guys, I promise you. And when you look at them, you would never even thought before that could be possible. So understand also how, when you have an opportunity to go to museums and exhibitions, understand how people are interacting with those installations or materials, because that can also give you ideas of how models can interact with your props in your photos. So do get lots and lots of inspiration from fine art. The next source of inspiration is cinematography. And that's one of my favorite ones. And all of us know that movies are very close to photos, and there is lots and lots to learn from the works of great movie directors and directors of photography as well. Yet, of course, movies work a little bit different. They are shot with a different idea in mind, so to say, because it's always a sequence of images. In the photo, often we need to convey our story, like put a story within one image, but they have a sequence of images, and they also always remember that when creating a movie. However, you don't have to limit, of course, your inspiration to only watching movies and just like full featured movies. This could be animated movies, those can be TV series, of course, because those are amazing now, right? And music videos, why not? Short films, they are also very valid and sometimes even more creative than full featured movies. So use this lockdown time for getting lots and lots of inspiration from the great masters of cinematography. Don't just watch those movies or films for entertainment purposes. Make it an act of studying and analyzing, like actually learning from those movies. And you will feel better about yourself while doing this. It will give you, you won't feel as guilty as like, oh, I'm killing time. Not, you're not killing time. You're getting inspired. You're actually learning something. You're also trying to understand how those very same things work, like color combinations, light and shadow, what things are used to create a certain atmosphere in a movie. Watch how style is created in some particular movies. My favorite movie director of all time is Wes Anderson, of course. And guys, tell me, like, give me heart if you also love him, because I know that many of you do. There's lots to learn from movies by Akira Kurosawa, the great Japanese master, and perhaps much more great movie directors. Those were just a couple of recommendations from me. But if you have your own recommendations for beautiful and meaningful movies, go ahead and type them right now in the comments. I would love to read them and check them out myself. So, a very practical again exercise when you watch something, be it a music video or a full featured film or an animated film. Make screenshots because especially if you watch on a laptop screen or maybe on the phone or on desktop, and then later on you can study those screenshots just like you studied just like you can analyze any type of photography. You can watch, take a deeper look at what kind of details I used to create a certain style, a certain atmosphere, like what kind of accessories or props or wardrobe. And again, lights and shadows, color combinations, composition is very important, and that's what I love about Wes Anderson's movies, because like every shot is like a painting there. Yeah, Tim Burton. Many people love Tim Burton. For some reason, guys, I don't like Tim Burton. Okay, his movies are sometimes beautiful, aesthetically pleasing, but the stories they're just really, really disturbing. And I don't know, it's just my opinion, guys. What I tried, actually, the latest movie that I tried to watch was that those weird kids of Mrs. Peregrine. Sorry, I'm not pronouncing the name correctly. I don't actually remember it. It was interesting, and I could watch it up until the middle, when they start telling the horror story about how those guys turned into monsters. And then I don't like horror movies. I really try to protect my mind from all kinds of negativity, including fears. And that's why I couldn't watch the rest of the movie. But yeah, certain aesthetics is definitely a good thing. In his in his creation, so I agree. Yeah, if you are into dark themes, go ahead. Yeah, and I'd love more recommendations from you. So once again, when you watch something, make screenshots, study those details. So that was our second source of inspiration. Our third source of inspiration would be my ever favorite one, illustration. And let me take a sip of that tea because it's getting cold actually. It's cold in Finland. It's like we have snow actually. Yesterday, and it's almost the end of March. That's ridiculous sometimes. Alright, so illustration. What I really love about illustration is that illustrators, they again don't have any boundaries in their heads. And then they can create anything. Like their works are usually fantasy themed or fairy tale themed because they have to illustrate fairy tales, right? And this is where you can borrow actual ideas. That's just an endless source of borrowing ideas. And we as photographers, even if though we're like, if you were like me shooting surreal fine art, we're still very much connected to reality always, because originally photography was a means of documenting reality. And I really love this about photography because I like to create works that are very true to life, that they look believable, but still they have a twist, they have like a surreal thing. Yet whenever I'm thinking of creating some new work, I have to think of how I would actually create it. And that sometimes can block my creativity because I just cannot break some laws of objective reality, like some natural forces in my head. However, illustrators do that all the time. That's why it's a great source of where you can borrow ideas, surreal ideas, first of all. So one of the practical exercises would be to, first of all, find some illustrators whose work you love, create a list, study their work, and try to recreate maybe some of them with your own twist. Adding, you can do two exercises. You can recreate a work completely, but of course stating that when you share it on the socials, or you can try to rephrase that kind of an idea and try to introduce that into your work, but changing everything but one thing, for example. And I will, after this live, I will share my favorite illustrators who I follow on Instagram. So maybe give me a couple of hours and I will do that, but that's gonna be lots and lots of profiles. Come on, give me more hearts. I love getting hearts. If you guys are like me, inspired by illustration, please put the names of your favorite illustrators right there in the comments, both you on Facebook and both you on and Instagram, because I would love to check them out as well. And or you can send them in a direct message on Instagram, because there I will get a link directly to the profile and I won't have to type them in. And I might want to, even if you're an illustrator and you think that your work deserves my attention, please send me a message. I will check that out. I really love making shout outs to great artists in not supportive industries, but in similar industries to photography. So I will be sharing the profiles of my favorite illustrators where you can get lots and lots of inspiration from and lots of ideas from. All right, now, thank you. Thank you for your comments. All right, the next, and that's going to be the fourth source of inspiration, it's design. And by design, I mean anything from interior design to web design, product design, graphic design, whatever. And which practical things you can do. You can pick up design magazines and actually look for trends there. What kind of colors are trending? What kind of color combinations designers are using? Interior designers are very good at coming up with conceptual use of objects and introducing them into interior. For example, I have a photo which I shared recently with the stay-at-home challenge. A girl is sitting close to a wall, and the wall is covered with book pages. And that idea, I actually created the image before I had an Instagram profile. I never, like, now it's a thing, everyone does that. But I created that image about 5 years ago, and I got my original idea from a design magazine. I saw that designers were decorating walls in rooms, in cafes with book pages, and I asked, oh my god, this is so symbolic. This is such a great idea that can be turned into a concept. So look for those. And what else? You can just go and go right now again, not maybe physically go to design stores, but try to go to a design store on the web. Just check out how people are thinking conceptually in, again, using materials, introducing some concept into product design, and that can be also used in your photography. That could be valuable sources of ideas for you. Off to the next source of, and if you have ever been inspired by some design thing, whether it's, again, a color combination in a graphic design work or shape of some particular object, for example, let me know in the comments. All right, those were my favorite visual arts to be inspired by. You are by no means limited to that. Some people can be inspired by other visual arts, and you can also type them in the comments right now. Share with us. What else I recommend you to be inspired by is by music. It's not a visual form of art, yet it's really, really inspirational. And whenever I ask a question of how and where people you get inspiration, that's the thing that pops out the most, actually. And you can work with music inspirations in several ways. First of all, that can be very literal. When you listen to songs, when you listen to lyrics, you can get ideas from those lyrics and combining them with the emotions that you feel while listening to it, the music of the song, you can translate those emotions into your photography. Another way is that you can take maybe some time, like from 20 minutes to an hour or a couple of hours if you have that. Now probably you do. And just lock yourself and immerse yourself in listening to some particular music album. Maybe it's your favorite artist, or just some particular type of music. It can be like classical music, for example. And try to free your mind completely, sort of try to get into the meditative state of mind and let your mind be free, trying to imagine things while listening to the music. Music is a huge way to influence your brain and your imagination. And it's a hugely powerful source of transmitting emotions. And when you get some emotions while listening to the music, they will inevitably translate into visual experiences. So just try that and let me know how it works for you. Our next source of inspiration is very obviously literature. And that's the 7th one already. And when you read to books or short stories or like novels, poetry, of course, you get emotional. You get in touch with some sort of stories. You learn about some events in other people's lives, and you can first of all borrow ideas from actual plots of novels, of even fairy tales, and that's very popular, right? So I'm sure many of you heard about, well, not heard about, but even created fairy tale themed photographs. Many conceptual photographers do that, and actually very fond of this. Yet you can also go deeper and read classical novels or contemporary novels and try to be inspired by that and introduce those plots into your photography. Another way of working with inspirations from literature is, again, getting conscious about the feelings and emotions that you get while reading a certain piece and translating those emotions to your images. So guys, that was whole seven sources where you can get inspiration from, which are not photography. So it's really important to shut down the whole photography thing from time to time and just really stop looking at photos, but look outside. And if you feel that my list of 7 is not complete, you're completely right. If you have any other ideas, please go ahead and share them with me right now here in the comments. And by the way, I have one more source, which is a bonus. I just cannot hold it. So this you need sometimes, from time to time, to shut down not only your photography inspiration, but all inspiration completely. You need to get bored, guys. Seriously. When you lock yourself down, like we can relate to that, and don't do anything, don't read anything, don't listen to anything, just really get bored. Your mind just cannot stay in this sort of situation. It will come up with certain ideas. And the key here, maybe you've heard about it, maybe you haven't, but you need to get, like, when your brain is very active, when you constantly like consume information, your brain cannot relax and actually let ideas grow inside of it. It's just a scientifically proven fact. When your brain is very active, you cannot be creative. You have to be still to get creative. That's why you need that alone time. You need that meditation time. Well, if you're not into meditating, just go and take walks and just really try not to think about anything in particular. And that sort of state we get when we try to fall asleep, for example, right before falling asleep, or when we're taking a shower, or sometimes when we're driving for a long time and we're just completely relaxed and not thinking about anything. And that's when ideas come into our head. Do you agree? Has it ever happened to you? Has it ever happened to you? I'm so sure it has. Especially like I hate when it comes right before I fall asleep. I'm already about to fall asleep, but no. Okay. But anyway, so the key here is to get your mind into alpha state of mind, or alpha brain waves. Yeah. I'm not a scientist, so you should forgive me. But this technique was used by many people and is used right now. Like Einstein was consciously doing that. He was meditating to get his genius scientific ideas and theories. He was just relaxing, sitting in his armchair and not doing anything. So sometimes you need to also try to do that. So that was whole 8 sources of inspiration that you can start using today to get your photography more original, to really make it stand out, to be different, and to be better than all the competition that will be coming after you. And it will. The situation in our place. Okay, yeah, now I think I will get to the answers to the questions. The situation is pretty quiet, but it's always quiet in Finland. And right now the weather is fine. It's really sunny. It's a great day, and it was like that yesterday as well. And what I also highly recommend, and actually even I would demand that from you guys, don't watch the news. Seriously, don't watch the news. That will interfere with your creativity. It will completely block everything. You will get into the fear state, and when you're in the fear state, you cannot create. It is just simply impossible. You will be constantly sinking into negative thoughts, and that will definitely not result in anything good. So yes, be aware, be safe, be cautious, do everything you need to do to prevent anything bad happening. However, please shut down the news. I'm sure you will find out all the necessary information from other people, or you can just maybe limit your news interactions to just once per day or once per 2 days. Seriously, you won't miss anything much. But right now, it's simply, this is what you have to do to keep sane, to stay productive, and to be able to weather this storm, to be able to get stronger on the other side. Yes, it's this situation is something that has never happened before in this world, probably, or it actually happened, just we didn't know about it. It maybe didn't happen to us. It happened to people before us, who lived before us, but it will pass. And now our own duty and responsibility is to take care of ourselves. It's the only thing that we can do. It's the only thing that's under our control. Even our children they will only be happy and be safe when we are happy and safe. So please take care of your mental health and of your creativity and of your positive vibes. This is the best thing to do at this moment for yourself right now. And just to remind you, if you haven't yet, please go to the link in my bio, and there you will find several free resources to give you more ideas for your creative projects. One of them, the first one, is the free guide for photographing magic, where I give you 7 simple things that, again, you can start doing today to bring more magic into your photography if you're in the very beginning stage of it. And then, if you're locked down again and want to try some new fun photography project, but you don't really know what kind of props you can use, there is a white paper, so to say, a PDF where I give you 5 ideas for simple props that can be there in your room right now, but you've never thought of them as props for your photography. So, link in my bio, and there will be a link in the post going with this live on Facebook, where you can download those free documents. It's just a free thing. I just decided to give it out. And guys, if you haven't yet heard, I just want to remind you that I now started a private Facebook community for wild visual storytellers. What's that all about? It's a more intimate group of people, like-minded people, where we share our work, our ideas, where we have more intimate creative conversations, where I put a little more challenging creative challenges, where I talk, I give some special offers as well. I talk on topics which are, I know that only wild visual storytellers will understand. And what I mean by wild visual storytellers tribe is the tribe that is a group of people or community that where we believe that photography is much more than just gear and technical perfection. It's a way of making an impact on the world, no matter how small or big that impact is. It's a community where we want to be very bravely and unapologetically us, just speaking our truth with our works and seeing how that resonates with our viewers. So if that sounds familiar, if you resonate with that, if you want to join the tribe, there is also a link in my bio. You can go to this link tree, and there is click Wild Visual Storytellers Tribe and send a request to join the group. We would be so very happy to have you there as well. We're a very active and positively spirited community. Okay, getting back to questions. I love your minimal style. Your pictures, and I want to have ever been in photographer's block? No concept. How did you overcome that? The interesting thing is that I don't know what what creative blocks look like, at least at the moment. I think if I go back to like a couple of years ago, maybe yes, I did have those blocks. But now, when I truly believe, when you try to understand why you want to create, kind of try to connect to your main reasons why you create what you create, why this work is important for you, what kind of stories you want to tell, Those are big questions. They're not easy to answer, but when you find answers to those questions, you won't have any creative blocks. And especially when you use all the inspiration sources, and then after having that, shut down all the inspirations, there is no way creative blocks can enter into your space. Yet, if you're in the space like that, a couple of very practical tips. You can, again, shut down everything, try to take a walk, and try to occupy yourself with something completely different. Cook a meal, go for a bike ride if you can, read a book. Yes, just something completely different. Don't get stuck in like, oh my god, I need to create something right now. And another also very practical thing is that you can try to change your creative medium. And anything can be creative. Again, that cooking a meal can be creative. You can try to some knitting or embroidery or painting or making a TikTok video. Guys, who is on TikTok? That's such a cool social network. I actually had to delete it from my phone, otherwise I would just spend so much time being entertained, not being creative myself. So those kind of things. Okay. I will check. Oh, guys, Roy Anderson. Mark, who is Roy Anderson? But I will check him anyway. How do I keep things so simple? Several questions about my minimalism right now. I think that's my personal way of organizing my thoughts and my world, because why I lean to minimalism is that to me everything that lacks detail, it looks surreal. If you look at the outside world around you, look outside, like look at your room, look at your just out of your window, there's so much stuff going on. Like nothing is organized. And whenever you create an image where, let's say, composition is strictly organized, that looks surreal immediately, completely surreal. And when you subtract things, when you remove them, again, it looks more surreal. So my minimalism is my way of organizing my world and keeping it under control. It's also maybe kind of like a psychological practice for me. When I feel in control in my world, I feel stronger and I can fight it in the real world. So things like that. And another very practical thing is that minimalistic work, it looks more attractive. It immediately lets your viewer to focus on one thing and not just clutter his mind with lots and lots of details. And people appreciate that, especially in today's world when we are bombarded with all sorts of information, and visual information being a huge part of that. Yes, looking at details can be entertaining, but if you want to get someone's attention and you want to get it fast, the minimalistic work is the best way. It's my opinion. You can argue with that. Okay. I look at my baby pictures, they take me back to childhood stories and perhaps how certain things started for me. Yes, that's an excellent inspiration source, guys. Such an excellent idea coming from a Ventrovert. Ventrovert. Look at your baby photos. Try to remember what kind of stories were happening to you, what kind of feelings you were going through at some periods of your life. Your childhood memories. Awesome, awesome idea. Okay. It gives me so much joy and pleasure to read your supportive comments. Thank you for all the love. Don't forget, especially if you're on Facebook and if you're watching that not in live because we're gonna end soon, leave your recommendations for illustrators, for movie directors, for painters as well, and for designers or design source inspiration, because that I value the most, because I'm a very visual person. So for now, guys, it was a huge pleasure for me to talk to you today. I hope that this thing will be hugely beneficial for you. Well, maybe at least not, of course, what am I telling? Not hugely, but at least that could be useful, and that this can bring some hope and positivity into your life. Stay creative. Keep out the negative info and news, and really take care of yourself. Don't forget to download the things that I mentioned. That was the second live in my 5 live series. The next one will be in a week. I will announce the date a little bit later. So stay tuned, watch my posts, check out my stories, read posts on Facebook. Peace out.